Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving headfirst into agrivoltaics in India. And
It's exciting stuff.
it really is. And, it's not just some trendy buzzword. We're talking about really revolutionizing India's energy grid.
And helping out farmers.
Exactly. Boosting those farmer incomes at the same time.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
A total win-win. And we've got this incredible report.
From January of this year.
Yeah, 2024, a real collaboration between Germany's GIZ.
They're great.
They really are. And India's Ministry of New and Renewable Energy.
Those guys know their stuff.
And trust me, it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Real details.
So if you've ever wondered, how does this actually work on the ground? What are the business models that actually make sense?
Yeah.
Or even what kind of policies could really make or break this whole thing?
You've come to the right place.
Buckle up.
What I think is so cool about this report is it goes way beyond just saying, hey, APV is good.
Right.
It really dives deep into the how-to.
The practical stuff.
Exactly. And analyzes those really practical aspects that are so crucial for making smart decisions, whether you're a farmer, a policymaker, or even just an investor.
Right. Like they knew we were hungry for the real deal, not just hype.
Totally.
But before we go full throttle, let's make sure we're all on the same page.
Good idea.
When we say agrivoltaics, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Picture this. Vibrant farmland bathes in that gorgeous Indian sunshine,
Beautiful.
but with solar panels cleverly integrated into the landscape.
I love that.
So it's generating that clean energy while crops are thriving beneath.
It's brilliant.
Talk about a win-win.
It's amazing, especially when you think about the constraints that India faces.
Oh, absolutely.
Land availability, for one.
Yeah.
I mean, APV isn't just about making electricity. It's about really maximizing that land use,
Getting the most out of it.
creating a more resilient and sustainable agricultural system.
And did I mention it can even help with those scorching Indian summers?
Oh, tell me more.
Some of these setups provide shade, protecting those crops from the absolute harshest rays.
It's like giving them a little umbrella.
Exactly. And potentially even conserving water.
Oh, wow.
It's like giving farmers this whole new tool to combat the challenges of climate change.
It's fantastic.
It really is. Okay, so now on to the big question.
The big one.
Just how much potential does India actually have for APV?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little tricky.
A little bit.
And a lot interesting.
Okay, I like where this is going.
So they didn't just throw out a random number.
Oh, good, because I was going to say...
These researchers got seriously clever.
Tell me more.
They crunched data from 17 major crops across all of India's districts.
Wow.
And they combined that with solar resource maps and then factored in other geographical limitations.
So it's like putting together this giant puzzle.
It really is.
And what did that puzzle look like?
A range, actually,
Okay.
between a still impressive 3.1 terawatts to a mind-boggling 13.8 terawatts of potential capacity.
That is a big range.
It is a big range.
Yeah, but that just shows you the potential.
It really highlights the need for even more detailed on-the-ground data.
More research is always good.
Exactly.
Okay, so massive potential, but with a little asterisk of let's get even more specific.
I like it.
Okay, so we've talked about what it is and the potential, but now let's talk business.
Let's do it.
Because a great idea without a solid business plan is like a solar panel in a monsoon. Good intentions, but it might not get you very far.
You got that right.
So the report thankfully gives us not one, but two main business models for APV in India,
Lay it on me.
each with their own advantages and challenges.
Let's hear it.
All right, model number one.
Hit me. Model 1 is all about those small farmers. You know, the ones with less than 2 hectares.
Okay.
They team up with a solar developer.
Those are the Rescos, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And the Resco handles everything.
The installation, the operation, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
So the farmer gets to keep on farming, but with the added bonus of solar power.
Plus a little extra income from leasing their land.
Oh, that's nice.
And potentially even free or at least heavily subsidized electricity.
Talk about a sweet deal. And it's not just the farmers who benefit, right? I bet the discoms, those electricity distribution companies, are pretty happy about this too.
Oh, they love it. Integrating APV means they can actually reduce those transmission losses.
Which are a huge problem, right?
Massive. So it makes the entire grid more efficient.
That's got to be good for everyone.
And it decreases their reliance on those pricier power sources like fossil fuels.
Which, again, good for the planet, good for our wallets.
Win-win all around.
Okay, so model number one, small farmers partnering with Rescos, getting those benefits.
Now, Model 2, This is where things get even more interesting.
You tell, I'm already hooked.
Model 2 shifts the focus to those medium and large-scale farmers.
So more than 2 hectares of land.
You got it. Now, these guys, they've got options.
Ooh, I like options.
They can either invest in their own APV system or lease their land to a developer.
So it's like choosing your own adventure.
Exactly. Now, the key difference here is these farmers typically still have to pay for electricity.
Even with the subsidies.
Even with the subsidies. So their profits really hinge on selling that excess power to the grid.
So they become energy entrepreneurs in a way.
Exactly, adding another layer to their farming operation.
I love that. Speaking of energy entrepreneurs, the report dives into this fascinating concept of avoided losses.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to admit, this kind of blew my mind.
It's a game changer for sure.
So tell me more about these avoided losses.
So, you know how traditional power lines lose energy over long distances?
Yeah, it's like that whole "a watch pot never boils" thing, but with electricity.
Right. But with APV, you're generating power right there on the farm, close to where it's needed.
So you cut out the middleman, the long-distance travel for the electricity.
Exactly. And those losses plummet.
Hence, avoided losses.
And that, my friend, is music to the ears of discoms.
Because who doesn't love saving money and being more efficient?
It's like the difference between ordering takeout that gets cold on the way versus having a home-cooked meal.
Fresher, more efficient, way less wasteful.
Exactly.
But this isn't just about feel-good vibes. This impacts the bottom line, right?
Big time. The report actually crunched the numbers comparing APV to both traditional grid power and power from the spot market.
And what did those numbers tell us?
In states battling those really high transmission losses, APV could be a financial game changer for discoms.
Okay, so we're talking long-term cost savings, not just a quick fix.
Absolutely. Those avoided losses, they add up over the lifetime of an APV project.
Making it a really attractive investment.
Not just for the farmer, but for the entire energy ecosystem.
So this got me thinking. We talked about those business models, and now we're seeing how these avoided losses play a role. Could those savings actually be used to make APV even more affordable for farmers?
You're hitting the nail on the head. The report actually suggests that these savings could be funneled back into the system.
Tell me more.
So you could use those savings to fund subsidies for farmers or to reduce the tariffs that discoms pay for APV-generated power.
It's like this beautiful cycle
It really is.
where the savings from one part of the system fuel the growth of another part.
Sustainability coming full circle.
Talk about a win-win.
Hmm.
But even with all this potential, I imagine navigating the financial side of APV can be a bit of a maze.
It can be a lot of paperwork for sure.
Luckily, the report kind of acts as our guide.
Oh yeah, they break it all down.
They cover everything from traditional bank loans
Which we all know and sometimes love.
to those more innovative financing mechanisms.
They've got it all.
Remember that VGF, that booster shot we talked about?
How could we forget?
It's all covered in detail. So whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting to think about dipping your toes into the world of green energy, this report has got you covered.
They really do a deep dive.
They even break down those different capacity scenarios and their investment needs.
Super helpful.
But it's not just about, big money pouring in.
Right.
They also highlight the need for solutions that cater to those smaller farmers.
Absolutely. We can't leave anyone behind.
So things like microfinance options, community-owned systems.
Love it.
It's about making APV accessible to everyone, not just those with deep pockets.
Democratizing clean energy.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the potential, we've got the business side, we've even got the financing figured out. But what about the rules of the game?
Ah, yes, the regulatory landscape.
Because a brilliant idea without the right policies is like a solar panel in a hailstorm, vulnerable.
And this is where the report gets really insightful. They don't shy away from the complexities of India's regulatory landscape.
Because it can be complex, right?
Oh, yeah, layers upon layers.
So how do they tackle this beast?
They dissect those existing policies and really analyze their impact on APV,
Both the direct and the indirect impact.
especially the indirect ones, because those can be sneaky.
They can really make or break a good idea.
Exactly. And they take it a step further. They actually analyze international policies, too.
Oh, interesting.
So they create this incredibly valuable comparison of how other countries are handling these same challenges.
So it's like learning from the best, seeing what's worked, what hasn't, and tailoring those lessons to India's unique context.
You got it. They pull examples from countries like Germany, Japan, even China,
A real global perspective.
showcasing different approaches to things like land use regulations, grid connection, and how to protect those agricultural yields while still promoting APV.
It's like having a global playbook for APV, highlighting those winning strategies.
Precisely. And we always say it's the people who really make things happen. Well, APV is no different.
It's true.
The report dives deep into the skills needed to make this whole thing tick.
Let's hear it.
And let me tell you, it's not just about knowing your way around a solar panel.
Okay, so it takes more than just a love of sunshine.
A lot more. It's
Yeah.
like you can have the fanciest tractor in the world, but if you don't know how to drive it, exactly. So what kind of skill set are we talking about here? We're talking a whole spectrum. From the get-go, the planning, the design. You need those sharp minds who can really analyze, strategize, and navigate all those technical intricacies.
So engineers, project managers, they've got their work cut out for you.
Oh, yeah. But it's not just about the tech wizards.
Okay, so we need more than just the ones and zeros.
Exactly. As APV grows, we're going to need skilled installers.
The people who can actually make it happen on the ground.
Exactly. The ones who can handle the nuts and bolts of getting these systems up and running. And let's not forget about maintenance.
Because solar panels don't clean themselves.
Sadly, they don't. Keeping those panels clean, those wires humming, it's an ongoing job, and it requires a whole different set of hands.
So it's like this well-oiled machine, right? Every cog, every gear has to work in sync.
Exactly.
But what really excites me is how this all ties into creating a whole new job market,
Oh, absolutely.
especially in rural communities where opportunities might be a bit more limited.
That's the beauty of it. The report actually put some numbers to this. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of potential new jobs.
Get out.
And not just in the tech sphere. Think training, education, even financial services related to APV.
It's about empowering those communities from the ground up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We really have.
We've seen the incredible potential of APV,
The sheer scale of it.
the business smarts behind it,
Those business models are something else.
the financing puzzle,
Lots of pieces to fit together.
even those crucial policy hurdles.
Can't forget about those.
But there's one final thought. I want to leave our listeners with something to really chew on.
Hit me with it.
This report focuses on India, and rightfully so, but it got me thinking bigger picture.
I like where you're going with this.
Could this be the spark that ignites a global agricultural revolution?
Now you're talking.
I mean, we're talking about tackling some of the biggest challenges facing humanity, lands, scarcity, climate change, food security.
Big city.
What if APV isn't just an Indian solution, but a blueprint for a more sustainable future for everyone?
That's the dream.
Right. Imagine the possibilities. APV systems transforming those arid landscapes, revitalizing struggling farmlands, creating a world where clean energy and food production go hand in hand.
It's a beautiful vision.
It really is. And the best part, we're just scratching the surface. As research evolves, who knows what incredible innovations we'll see.
The possibilities are endless.
More efficient panels, new crop combinations, even systems integrated into vertical farms.
The future is bright.
It really is. Well, that about wraps us up for this deep dive into agrivoltaics in India.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
The pleasure was all mine. If this episode has sparked your curiosity, and I'm sure it has, be sure to check out the full report. We've got it linked in the show notes, along with a bunch of other resources to keep those minds buzzing.
Knowledge is power.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.